Hello and welcome to the Daily Meal for Sunday the 6th of April 2025. Not much news today, so we're just going to round up things with the stats. But before we get to that, I just want to mention obviously the week ahead. We have midweek game and a unique circumstances occurring on Tuesday the 8th of April in that Sheffield United versus Millwall is being held at two different categories. The first team playing away at Sheffield United or at Bramall Lane, and the under-21s are playing supposedly at the LNER Community Stadium, which I believe is a London and North Eastern Railway Community Stadium in York. At the moment, however, when that may move, I'm not too sure. The reason why I suspect that is because Sheffield United FC, on the official YouTube channel, they do put on live the under-21 games on some of them, obviously the home games, on their YouTube channel. And they have this page here, the live page on the YouTube, and it's got a preview, it's got an upcoming for a game in 3 weeks' time. But it doesn't have an upcoming link for the game in 2 days' time, which is very unusual. And you think, well, this is held at Bramall Lane, this is held at Bramall Lane. Maybe it's because it's held at York, but then these games are at York. So they have they have transmitted live from the York Stadium. It's a thing that they do, although to be fair, these two games are under 18s FA Youth Cup games. So if we look through, they haven't actually live transmitted an under-21 game from that York Stadium yet. So maybe that's the problem. Going all the way back to last season where they used to play their games at Chesterfield, they even put them up there. So it's not there at the moment, which suggests that they might move it because, of course, which doesn't make any sense to me, because the police imagine that, well, let's say we sell 1,500 tickets to Sheffield United away, maybe 1,000. They assume, obviously, the people going on the coaches aren't going to be allowed to go to this under-21 game because they'll be bubbled up and they'll be taken straight to the ground for about probably 6:30, 7 o'clock. But how many people travel on the coaches? 3 coaches, maybe, about 150 people. So that leaves, 1,100 people. And they assume that, well, a load of these people, there might be 1,000 people descending upon this under-21 game, and it's going to turn into chaos. And, that's not going to be the case. So I think most people don't really give a toss, whenever I put the under-21s in the title of a video, it affects the views go down. Do I care? No, I'm talking about Millwall news. The under-21s team, the assets, full of assets, and they are competing to win the league, which is more than the first team is doing. And that's not the first team's problem. It's because, the finances in the Championship are what they are. We have to be realistic. But when it's age restricted, we can compete better. So, we are competing for the league. And that's a joy for me to watch that. To see Millwall being the best team in the league and to win the league is fantastic. And you think, well, it's not really, is it? Because it's not really Millwall. It's the under-21s. Well, yeah, but, close enough. So I imagine the authorities assume that there's going to be 1,000 people descending on this game, so they're probably going to tell them to move it to the training ground or something, which is unfortunate. But, if I were to put a number on it, I would say maybe 100 to 200 people might do it, because it's not even in the same city. This is in York at 2 o'clock, whereas the first team game is in Sheffield at 7:45. So obviously you've got this. If you go to this game, 2:45, 3 o'clock second half starts, finishes at about 3:45, 4 o'clock. Then you've got 3 hours to get from York to Sheffield. And then you've got doss around in Sheffield, because that doesn't take 3 hours. But yeah, I don't imagine a vast horde of people going to both games. But you can imagine that the authorities are going to move it. So we'll see about that. I'll let you know tomorrow if they do move it in tomorrow's video. If they do, if they don't. But again, I've got this weird feeling that they might, which is unfortunate. So there you go. So now moving on to the stats from yesterday's game. And here we go. It's from whoscored.com. It's the match report from the game. If we look in the middle, Millwall created a high number of chances relative to their possession, stole the ball often from the opposition, were effective at creating goal scoring opportunities through balls and set pieces, and we were strong at finishing. Portsmouth was strong at finishing. We didn't have any weaknesses. Styles of play, we had a large quantity of possession in our opponent's half. We attacked through the middle where the high shot frequency when in possession. We favoured crossing the ball, we favoured long balls, we favoured through balls. And why not? If we go over to the right hand side, you can see they've given the star man, the man of the match, to Mihailo Ivanovic, 8.9. Short, small, not that far above George Honeyman on 8.7. Then it drops off to Jake Cooper. Their goal scorer, Andre Dazelle. Is he a DMC? Is he a DMC? That's kind of weird because the Dazelle name, Dazelle. Was it Jason Dazelle? He's old man as a striker. I think he's a striker or an attacking player. Scored a lot of goals. They play him at DMC. And then you've got Kramer at 7.2. So there you go. If we go down to here, you can see attempts on goal 14-6, 3-4 from open play, 10-2 set piece. So we had a lot more set pieces. 1-0 counter attack, and there you go. Now, interestingly, we had a load of shots, but we only scored 2 goals. We scored 2 goals from 14 shots, which is a 14% conversion rate. They scored 1 from 6, so their conversion rate is better than ours. They had 16%. And if we go here, you can see we were mostly going down the right hand side, although going down both wings, and they were mostly going down the same side as us, but their left hand side. The shot directions, the shot zones. So interesting, 21% in the 6-yard box for us and 17 for them, which is unusual. We don't normally get that close. Action zones, again, player positions. Wow, okay, cool. So obviously this is averaged out over the time, but obviously one of the players went off injured in the first half, so that skewed it. And you can see number 6, Tanganga, he's on the halfway line because he played the first half where we were more attacking, and in the second half we weren't. So interesting. So it kind of averages out to look like a 4-2-4, really. With Honeyman coming in. Cool. Okay. So playing without a number 10, but having the 2 wingers coming inside. And then getting Denor for pushing him up further forward, 24. Denor. You look at Portsmouth, their average player position, kind of weird playing what they're doing there. Just clumping everybody in that position. Now, I think she's trying to probably just closing down and trying to get the ball off Mill, I guess. So let's move on to this. So the match events, yellow card for them, early substitution, goal in the second half, yellow cards for them. They make the first subs, all for 3 of them. It helps them. But they wait until they do. So as soon as we scored, the light switch flicks, and they start attacking like night and day, like much better than they were. And even despite that, they had their upper hand. They were playing a lot better than we was after we scored. They still made the 3 changes 10 minutes after we scored, and then 10 minutes after that, then they scored. And then immediately, it's almost like he had them ready to go. Or I don't know if they were just warming up just in case, or whether he just bought them on gold. The free changes are ready to go, and we are gung ho. We're like, no, we ain't settling for a point. We are playing to win this game. Especially with Maku. Maku was giving the ball. He's doing a few things. Very exciting to watch. Going down that left side. And then it ends up with a goal being scored, and then they make a change again later on. I don't know what that was about, and then they get a yellow card late on again. So if you look at the top left, top right, where the club badges are, you can see the average player rating: 6.9 for Millwall, 6.39 for Portsmouth. So, that's quite a big difference at this level. 0.6. That is quite a big difference. Let's have a look at this first. Right, so as mentioned, Ivanovic man of the match, just above Honeyman 8.7. We've got Cooper 7.4, Kramer 7.2, Dinor 7.0. But the rest of the team, mid sixes, apart from Conley, who's on 6. And you got Leonard coming on 6.7. Obviously, he had half of the game time. He had a half to play, so it's quite a hefty time to get your score up. He got a 6.7. Maku 6.5. Like I said, exciting runs that he went on. If we look at them, again, it's probably their defenders getting the highest score. Dazelle, he scored the goal 7.3. Then Ogilvy and Paul with 7.1. Their goalkeeper only 5.8. I imagine that's because we didn't have many shots on target. We ended up scoring 2 goals. So we are probably quite clinical from shots on target. Obviously not from shots, because we had so many shots. And here we go. We had 14 shots. Who had the shots? So Cooper with 2, Saville with 2, Conley with 2, Ivanovic with 3. So Ivanovic had 3 shots, or attempts. Obviously, he scored both of his goals with his head. Scored 2 from 3. That's not bad, is it? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And then, so even if you look at the subs when they come on, Langstaff had a chance and Maku had a chance. Possession-wise, now this kind of shook me because we were all over them in the first half, 48 to 51. I didn't believe that. The thing with this website and these stats companies is what they do is they have live stats. Like, you can go on this when the match is going on, and you can see the how the game is going based on stats as you're watching the game. But that is kind of like a rough copy, because then what they do after the game is they get their computer AI model, whatever, to watch the game, and then it updates it to a more accurate version. I think that happens probably like a day. This is why I do it a day after, not on Saturday night. Partly because of that, partly because obviously sometimes there's no news on a Sunday, and this is the Daily Millwall, a video every day. So here we go. I've got something to talk about. I can talk about the stats from the game. So there's that. But they do update it afterwards. But it says 48 to 51. So who's on the ball the most for Millwall? 6% of the match was Denor. Saville 5, Cooper 5.1, Honeyman 5.5. There's quite a few players sharing the possession here, which is interesting. Obviously, Tanganga's is low because he went off early, but 2% still. And if you look at them, it's Dazelle, it's Ogilvy, it's Potts, and even their keeper. So their keeper, they were taking the short balls. Their keeper's on 6.8% possession, which is more than a single player on our team. Pass success percentage 64. It wasn't particularly windy yesterday, but this was expected. Alex Neil mentioned this before the game, that us and them are the two teams that take the ball back from the opposition the most, the high pressers, as you will, of the league. But Honeyman 86, which is interesting because he was taking set pieces. So for him to have a high passing accuracy, That's not bad. I wonder, maybe does that include set pieces? Maybe that's excludes set pieces. Denor 83. Even the forwards, 67 is quite high for a striker. Because if you look at their geese, they're not probably Bishop. Obviously, you're surrounded by the opposition players when you're an attacking player in the opposition's area. So he's on 38, Devlin's on 52, But you've got Ivanovic on 67. That's his passing accuracy. So he's getting the ball and he's passing it to another Millwall player. 7 out of 10 times. That's not bad. And look, even Amaku when he came on 75%. Obviously, that's off a lower amount of passes. Dribbles 3-1. Aerials won 32-25. Wow, Jake Cooper with 10. Crammer with 5. Coburn with 7 and Ivanovic with 4. So So obviously, that's the thing as well though. Honeyman with only 1. When you've got them guys up front winning headers, obviously these are headers they won. When we look at the FBref.com, we'll see how many they actually lost as well. But you've got them winning the headers, but then who's picking up the second balls? Is it going to Denor and Saville? They probably dropped a bit deep. Honeyman's tucking in. You hope that he gets on them, but he ain't the tallest either, is he? So there's that. Tackles 17-10, which is interesting again. Honeyman with 5, Ivanovic with 3. So the defence didn't even have that many tackles to make. Well, from the defence, we got 1 tackle from Tanganga, 1 from Brighton. Right. Corners 11-4. Wow, that's 3 times as many as them. 11-4. And we did score from 1 corner, which is bad. And these are the players who won the corners. It's the whole team effort. I don't know if they were told to win corners because they're dodgy at corners. If that was the case, then that certainly was a plan that worked, because we did score from a corner. And we had a lot of shots. Although, like I said yesterday, the ref kept fucking blowing up for no reason. And it felt like he was picking on us because we had more corners than them. So that was annoying. But again, like I said, maybe that helped us, because I think maybe did they expect that the ref was just going to blow the whistle on the corner where we scored? Probably they just, because he was giving fouls for fucking nothing. They probably expected another one and it didn't come. Dispossessed, so taking the ball off of you, 4-8. So there you go. Now, so what I wanted to have a look at, if we go to overall ratings, with this, because I was under the impression that we absolutely dominated the first half. And was that or was not the case? So if I do that, so So the player ratings in the first half is 6.33 for us and 6.32 for them, so pretty even. But if you look at possession, 55-44. 7 shots to 1, 4 corners to 1. So it looked, like I said, we huffed and puffed, but we didn't have anything. Like, the ratings are dog shit, but we had more possession, more shots, more corners, etc. So if we then do this the other way around, if I grab that, go along, take it back, and then we drag the first one towards half time so we can just measure the second half. So this is just the second half rating. So look at this. Obviously, I think it's because of the 2 goals that got scored. 6.57 for us, 6.07 for them. But again, it was they had more possession in the second half to us, 58-41. So more possession. So ours was 55 to whatever it was, and then theirs is the second half is 58-41. So why, their fans must be losing their minds. Why weren't they playing like that from the start? They come to away games trying to not concede a goal, and they have the worst away record in the division. Why can't they play like they started playing once we scored? It don't make no sense. Even though, second half they had more possession, we had more shots than them even then in the second half, and more corners, and more aerials won, and more tackles. So there you go. So let's move on to this. So. Now, we scored 2 goals, which is, kind of rare. We don't normally score 2 goals. But in order to do that, we had to have a ton of shots. What was it? Something like 14, wasn't it? 14. We had 14 attempts on goal. How many were on target? So if we sort by shot, these are the players. We had 9 separate players who had shots. How many were actually on target? 3. Wow. And this is the thing. Ivanovic, 2 shots on target, 2 goals. My man. That's it, man. That's what you got to do. And then you got Langstaff, 1-on-1. Obviously, keeper saved it, but for at least he had a shot on target. That's more than all of these guys had. What else? So let's sort by rating. Ivanovic 8.85, Honeyman 8.69, Jake Cooper 7.36, Kramer 7.17 in 2 positions. Obviously started out right back, comes into centre back. And then Casper De North 6.96, obviously with the assist. But number six playing 50 minutes of the game. 6.73 Ryan Leonard. I mean, I think this little mini run that we need to go on to get into the playoffs, I mean, I'm glad to see Ryan Leonard back, because he's just fitted straight back in like he hasn't been away. Fantastic stuff. And obviously, Tuesday, who are we playing? Sheffield United, one of his former teams. I'm sure he'll be hopefully chomping at the bit to play in that game and show them what they missed out on. And then you've got Lucas Jensen, 6.64. So if we go down and we look, lowest rated player, 5.99, Aaron Connolly. Yeah, it was kind of a odd game for him yesterday. Macaulay Langstaff, obviously you would expect the subs that came on for 10 minutes to be at the bottom. And some of them are. Obviously Langstaff's there, Mitchell's there, but Mitchell got a higher score than Saville. Billy Mitchell's on for 10 minutes. He only touched the ball 9 times. That 9 is a touch. Saville touched the ball 41 times. Billy Mitchell got a higher score than George Saville on WhoScored.com's rating system. What does that say? I don't know what that says, but I mean, that's fucking rough, isn't it? That is rough. I think obviously Saville had the 2 chances, but yeah, that's rough. Obviously Tanganga's obviously down there, he only played 42 minutes. But then you got Maku. Maku came on, gets a 9th rated player, 6.53, ahead of Coburn, ahead of Tanganga, well that's expected, ahead of George Saville and ahead of Connolly. Obviously he replaced Connolly. So there you go. What else are we looking at? Were we offside? We got offside twice. Defensive stuff. So who did what defensively? It looks like the defence didn't do any tackling at all. George Honeyman with 5 tackles. Ivanovic with 3 tackles. Ryan Leonard with 3. Billy Mitchell with 2. No wonder he got a higher score than Saville. He had 2 tackles in 10 minutes of football. Obviously, the tackle that led to the goal. So he had what's known as, I think, a shot creating action. Is that he passed the ball, or he got the ball to Denor. There's a tackle and a flick or whatever. And then Denor got the assist for Ivanovic's goal. So Billy Mitchell gets involved in a shot creating action, despite only being on the pitch for 10 minutes. And also being involved in 2 tackles. Interceptions, Cranmer with 3, Joe Bryan with 2. Clearances, Jake Cooper with 12, Crammer with 6, Saville with 3, Joe Bryan with 2, Ryan Leonard with 2, Tanganga with 2. Blocked shots, only 2, and they're both for Jake Cooper. Fouls, okay. Passing, so the passing accuracy was highest with George Honeyman, but only for 21 passes, 85.7. You got Denor, 82.9 from 35. And Maku, 75 from 4, so 3 good, 1 bad. And then it drops off a bit, quite a bit. Oof. This Tanganga, this is the thing. Tanganga, 11 passes, 27.3. Was he okay? Is he okay? Did he have a problem before the game? Because he was mispassing the ball quite a bit, and obviously then he ends up breaking something in his hand, maybe his wrist. He wasn't having the best of games, to be fair. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully he's he's flogging himself, Like I said, he's played a lot of football, more than he's played for quite some time. So maybe it's just catching up with him, He needs a bit of a break. We'll see. He's gonna get. I think he's gonna get a break now. He's gonna miss at least one game, you would imagine. Like, he probably could get a brace put on his arm and play with it, but I mean, hopefully the club don't force him to do that, or even if he wants to do it, get him to take a break. And we'll try and get through the next game or two without him. So, that's whoscored.com. We're going to move on now to fbref.com, where you can get the XG. The XG's in the middle between the badges. It's 1.3 for Millwall. It's 0.6 for Portsmouth. So, we overperformed our XG. We should have got 1 goal. They should have got 1 goal. Like I predicted, the 1-1. It wasn't to be. It was 2-1 to us. Because obviously, like I said, Ivanovic's goals were clinical. He had 2 shots on target, scored 2 goals. And I'm imagining the XG on them wasn't very good. So if we go down, see the match events, the cards and the substitutions. So here we go. They're given the possession as 50-50. The passing accuracy of 60 for us and 63 for them. Similar passing. So we had 328 passes. They had 332. Shots on target, we had 3 of 14 on target. They had 3 of 6. So again, we were very wasteful with our chances, but we had to create a lot of chances to get the goals, Our keeper made 2 of 3 saves. Their keeper made 1 of 3 saves. So if they had a better keeper, maybe they wouldn't be in the problem that they're in. So, fouls 20-13, corners 11-4, crosses 33-13, touches of the ball 450-449. Tackles 17-10, interceptions 8-9, aerials 132-25, clearances 33-47, offside 2-2, goal kicks 5-8, throw-ins 30-21, long balls 86-74. So here we go. Here are the list of the players. What shall we look at first? So shot creating actions. Wow. The player with the most shot creating actions. And if you don't know what shot creating action is, there you go. The 2 offensive actions directly lead into a shot, such as passes taken or drawing fouls. So yeah. So if someone gets fouled and gets a free kick, and then the free kick gets whipped in and gets scored, that the person who got fouled for the free kick is given a shot creating action. We have George Honeyman, obviously fired up. 8 shot creating actions, 2 goal creating actions. He was involved in both goals. Was he? How? I thought it was Billy Mitchell and Denor. Maybe he was involved in 2 goal creators. You can get it for the same thing. So George Honeyman, if he won the corner that led to the goal that he took the corner for, he would get 2 goal creating actions, and we can check that. We'll check that now. So the goal that we scored, yeah. So George Honeyman pass that got put out for a corner. and then the pass from the dead ball, which was the corner, which led to the goal. So George Honeyman got two goal creating actions was the same goal, but 8 shot creating actions in total. Then Ivanovic with 4, Denor with 4, Coburn with 2, Saville with 2, and Kramer with 2. Cool. Obviously, we had a lot of shots. So who had the highest XG? That was Ivanovic. So Ivanovic got 2 goals from expected goals of 0.4. Wow. He should have scored half of a goal. He scored 2 goals from 3 shots, 2 of which were on target. Not bad. So if we move on to some passing stuff, does anything stand out here? So what was up with Tanganga's passing? What was up with his passing? So on short balls, even on short balls, was he wearing new boots? Did he have studs on that weren't right for the ground? Obviously it's sunny now, the ground's getting harder, obviously they do water it. Don't know, did he have new boots on? Maybe that's the thing. Boots that weren't worn in, I don't know. Very weird. 1 completed from 4 attempts on the short balls, 25%. Medium long balls, it's 5 from 9, which is 55%, and then from long balls, it's 1 from 4. So that's a bit rough. And you think Denor is 5 from 9 on short balls, 19 from 20 on medium balls, and 4 from 4 on long balls. And you say, well, yeah, he's a midfielder. How about another defender? Well, even Jake Cooper, Jake Cooper on short balls is 4 from 8, 50%, 12 from 14 on medium, 3 from 8 on long balls. So clearly something up with Tanganga. And obviously ended up getting injured. So maybe he was ill. Maybe he's had diarrhea or something. Didn't want to tell anyone. Well, not that was diarrhea. Like he had a flu or something. And he didn't want to drop out of the game, so he just carried on playing. Took some ibuprofen or something. I hope no one noticed. And he puts up numbers like this, and everyone's like, "What's that about?" Like you can't blag it. You know what I mean? If you're this quality of a player, I don't think you can blag it like that, because when you put in an average performance, people are like, hey, what's up with this guy? What's going on? Interesting. So let's have a look at Mitchell and Saville. So obviously we saw he got a better score than Saville. What was that about from WhoScored.com? So he was 0 from 1 on short balls, 1 from 2 on medium balls. Obviously he was only on the pitch for 10 minutes, or 9 minutes here. Okay. Pass types. Defensive actions. So challenges. Well, here we go. Look at this. This is probably why Billy Mitchell, tackles attempted and tackles won, 2 of 2, 100%. George Honeyman, 3 of 3, 100%. Joe Bryan, 1 of 1, 100%. Tanganga, 1 of 1, 100%. Ryan Leonard, 2 of 2, 100%. So, wow, look at that for the tackles. The only one, I think, so it looks like the only tackle we lost in the whole game was Jake Cooper. All of the other tackles were won. What do they class as a tackle, though? Oh, a dribbler. So when they try to dribble for us, so not passing the ball and stuff. So when someone's trying to dribble at them, yeah, none of that shit. Take the ball off them. Number of times we tried to dribble past players. So Aaron Connolly, 3 attempts, 1 successful. Not too good, really. Amaku, 1 on 1. Billy Mitchell 1 and 1. And then everyone else, not really. George Hunter, nope. Cranmer, nope. Denor, nope. Macaulay Langstaff, nope. And Coburn and Nevedovic, nope. 0%. So carries of the ball, number of times a player controlled the ball with their feet, total distance, progressive distance, which is a total distance in yards a player moved the ball while controlling it with their feet towards the opponent's goal line, as in not backwards. We don't want to go backwards, we want to go forwards. Always forwards, progressive. So what are we looking at? So Aaron Connolly, 15 carries of the ball for 194 yards. 59 of that was forwards. But then you compare that to Cranmer, 16 carries of the ball, 133 yards distance. 45 yards of that was forwards. So less total distance, but more of it was forwards. So obviously he starts further back, so that's expected, especially if the opposition are dropping off and they're not really pressing, closing down higher up the pitch. In terms of what else have we got? Anyone else stand? Whoa, look at this. This is it. This is what I was talking about. Amaku came on and he was exciting. Look at this. 5 carries of the ball for 80 yards. 80 yards, 5 carries of the ball. 70 yards of that was towards the opponent's goal line. Wow. No wonder he got a higher score than Connolly. Look at this. More yards forward with half of the amount of yards and only 5 carries of the ball. Like, wow. But here's the thing. He absolutely roasts the defenders when they're tired. Now, when he comes on in the 70th minute, 75th minute, like he looks like the world beater. He looks like a world beater because he can just do this to them. He can turn them inside out. So yeah. But here we go with Billy Mitchell. So again, 2 carries of the ball for 23 yards, but half of that was forwards, 12 yards. Boom, forwards. So there you go. Good stuff there. Now, aerials won, but aerials lost. So we saw on the previous page the aerials won, but what about the aerials that got lost? So Ivanovic 4 and 4, so it's only 50%. Coburn was 7 and 5. Langstaff was 0 and 1. Connolly was 0 and 1. Saville was 2 and 4, 33%. Denor was 0 and 5. Oy. Honeyman, little lad Honeyman, 1 and 0. Jake Cooper 10 and 1. Tanganga 1 and 1. Leonard 2 and 0. Cranmer 5 and 3. So aerials won, aerials lost. So there you go. Let's have a look at the keeper stats while we're here. Shot stopping, shots on target against SOTA 3, goals against 1, saves 2, save percentage is 66.7, post shot XG is 0.6. Passes, 18 passes, 72.2 of them were long balls. The average length of each pass was 44.2 yards. Goal kicks 5, 100% of them were long, 61.2 yard average. Crosses from the opposition into the box 11. He didn't come out to stop any of them. He had one outside penalty area defensive action. His average distance from the goal line was 13 yards. So let's have a look at the shot list. Now this is one-sided. Portsmouth did not have a shot at all until the 38th minute, and I think that was because of Tanganga's misplaced pass or something. I think so, because you look at the shot creating actions and there are none. There isn't any. So 17 yards right-footed. The XG was 0.17 and it went up to 0.25, but it got saved by Jensen. But look at all the shots that we had and how powder puffed they were. The best shot was their one, 0.17. Jake Cooper 0.15. and that was a 7 yards header, but that was off target. So the post shot XG is 0 because it's not even on target. So yeah, Saville, left-footed volley, that was from the corner routine, off target. Tanganga, header, 6 yards, off target. Cooper, 7 yards, header, off target. Saville, blocked, left-footed, 22 yards. Aaron Connolly, 23 yards, right foot, blocked. Josh Coburn, 31 yards, right foot, blocked. Aaron Connolly, blocked, 12 yards, right foot. So, second half, Bosch, out we come. What's that, 12 minutes into the second half? First shot of the second half, goal. Goal. 2 shot crown actions for George Honeyman, winning the corner, taking the corner. Ivanovic heads it, 0.14 XG, jumps up to 0.87. So basically what that means is when he headed it, it was a very low quality chance. As soon as he heads it and where he puts it, where based on where all the Portsmouth players are, and especially the goalkeeper, it jumps up to 0.87. So quality goal. Making something out of nothing, really. 6 yards header. And immediately, they respond with a little thing where they have the 2 shots. The one that hits the woodwork, 6 yards left footed, 0.12 x to post. We got away with that one. And then Ivanovic again, header. So 3 of these shots were headers. The 2 goals and that one. 8 yards out, blocked. Jake Cooper, 11 yards header, off target. Kramer, 11 yards header, off target. And then they had a shot blocked from 23 yards. Josh Murphy blocked from 12 yards, and then they scored. So obviously the first shot was blocked, and then that fell to this guy who ended up getting the goal. That was a bit of a comedy of errors, pinball football. 0.17 XG goes up, but only to 0.34, so probably could have done better with that, really. 8 yards left footed, it went through 2 players to go in, not the best. But then 7 minutes later, the first shot after that, 9 yards header, Ivanovic, Kasper Bosch, 0.18, going up to 0.59. So again, making something out of nothing. In fact, that was the best quality chance all game. That was the highest XG of any of the shots all game, 0.18. And then even in injury time, we're still going. And then I think someone said, "Hey, how about you run to the corner instead of trying to score?" And then they did that. But before that, Maku, 16 yards left-footed blocked, and then Macaulay Langstaff, 17 yards left-footed, got saved. So there you go. And I think that's it. On that note, thank you for watching. Goodbye.